what is either kind of a positive message of hope or maybe an action item that you would want to give to originators that are listening to this podcast?
My, you know, I've kind of said this in pretty much every podcast I've done and interview that I've been a part of is that if you, I know that there's a lot of people out there like I am that have probably from a very young age have that entrepreneurial spirit and want to start their own business, but they're afraid to. They don't want to take the risk. They feel overwhelmed with everything that they want to do. And my message to them is always, and maybe this isn't so positive, but I think it should be thought of in a positive way, is that you're always going to regret not trying something later than trying it and failing. It's okay to fail. Like, I've started, before we started this, we mentioned the title company that I tried launching, and I don't want to say that it necessarily failed, but I realize it's just not really a focus that I should be putting my attention into. And I couldn't find a person to really, take the reins of that and grow that business. So I'm basically just phasing it out. So I tried it. I thought that we could do it well. We did do it well. It's just that we didn't really have a good business development strategy in mind, and I couldn't focus on that. So we're just letting that go. I learned a lot from that experience, and, kind of spreading myself too thin. But I don't regret it whatsoever. So
Right.
it's everything to me is a learning experience, and don't not do something just because you're afraid of the risk, I guess. So it's because the risk isn't as much as you think it is. There's a lot of misinformation out there, especially if you're in the retail channel of what's fed to you by your managers, because obviously they're going to say anything to keep you from going and becoming independent. So, trust all of the people who have come over to this side, and most of them haven't gone back. There's only been a handful that have. So, I feel that the originator, should be independent. I mean, you should be able to decide what lender to send your loans to. You should be able to have that freedom to make lenders compete for your business, and not work for one lender that can jack up your margin at any time, and you're just forced to sell their products, their pricing. You can have it all in the broker channel, in my opinion. So that would probably be my advice to really any originator, whether you're going to start your own shop or, I think that you should join the broker channel, working for somebody else, ideally before you start your own company as well, just because it's tough I did that, and it was a little tough learning all that stuff at once. I'm like, what the hell is borrower paid comps?
Right. All the nuances of
Just
navigating that.
exactly.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I think that's a great piece of advice. It reminds me of when I was in the insurance space. I was what they call captive before I went independent, and I remember feeling a sense of resentment when it finally clicked to me. And this took me a long time for this to click. How the hell did we ever accept a situation where we identify as captive? Like,
Yeah, we don't use that terminology in the broker channel or in the mortgage industry often, but it's literally the same thing. The insurance industry is exactly the same way, because if you work for like a Liberty Mutual, it's just like working for a Movement or a Fairway. It's the same exact concept. Whereas, and then you get like the quasi independent, like I guess like the Gooseheads of the world, and then you get your true independence of controlling your own brand, and ideally you can sign up directly to the carriers and not have to use some kind of middleman, all of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of parallels I've found in the insurance industry to mortgages, more so than people might think.
And it's interesting how you use the word independent, and that's they're independent brokers in the insurance world too. And I'm just like, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want independence? Like, what do and I'm not. There's some great retail shops out there. So it's hard because it's like I'm not trying to talk shit about them as a company, but
Of course,
the model is kind of wrecked, right? It's like, it's like,
It's
I
a
think they
it's
could
a
probably,
dinosaur model.
yeah, yeah. I think that there's probably an angle in the future where those companies who aren't independent, in a way, I could see kind of a blend where it's in their best interest, it's in everybody's best interest for them to have kind of more wholesale access, where they're getting a smaller piece of the pie, but now they're getting a larger piece of market share. I think that there's probably something there that where there's a necessary evolution, as because brokers will, from what I can gather, from just my exposure in this industry, helping currently hundreds of originators, some retail, some broker, and I think that it's going to be inevitable, man. Brokers are becoming more and more popular with every day, and it's probably not happening as fast as a lot of people were anticipating or hoping, but the broker channel is definitely becoming alive, and it's cool to see.
Yeah, and that trend has been happening for the better part of the last 5 years or so, of that rejuvenation of the channel. And yeah, I mean, it was as low. I think the market share was as low as 7% at some point. Now it's back over 20. And I believe over the next few years, we can start to approach 30-40% again. And yeah, I think it's inevitable. Mortgages, to me, I think mortgages are getting easier to do. You're getting more and more of the, if you're a smart originator, you're leveraging day one certainty. You might get appraisal labor. You can literally do a purchase with a agreement of sale, and like a driver's license, and that's it for documents.
Oh yeah, the process and the product is going to become continually more commoditized. I think the differentiation comes where people leverage, they start to build and leverage their actual personal brand. It's really the difference between a Tesla that has an Elon versus, I mean, name a competitor of Tesla. They exist, nobody knows them, right? It's like there's a main difference because he was able to leverage that personal brand, and I mean, obviously it's a different scale, but I think that that's really going to be the future, is the originators that focus on the relationship, not the product, because the product will kind of sort itself out. I mean, you talk about even underwriters, like I feel like the writing's on the wall. Like you talk about AI, you could probably, with current technology, train a pretty damn good underwriter through AI.
And there are shops that are doing a pretty good job of, maybe not necessarily right now with underwriters, but you definitely have where a human used to be like indexing files, or, through OCR, like pulling the numbers up, like you don't have a human actually do. So there's certain elements of that transaction now that are that are completely systemized. And I do think underwriters are next. Obviously, that starts to get into the, the delicate areas of dealing with the government and the agencies and all of that. But the agencies, in my opinion, while we may not think are moving, I feel like they're moving faster than a lot of mortgage companies are nowadays, where they're experimenting with pilot programs. You got things out there where you can link your bank account over the last 12 months. And if you work in the gig economy, you can get credited for, your DoorDash income, instead of having to wait 2 years to prove that, Schedule C or whatever. So you can get that kind of cash flow analysis automatically just running in the US. And you're start seeing more and more of that, where mortgages are going to go closer and closer to completely dockless, over time.
Well, and I mean,
sure.
the legislation obviously is a whole separate argument, but from a technological standpoint, just knowing what I know about AI and technology as a whole, I think that you give me or you a week with it, I think we could do a pretty, bang up job of having an automated like a truly automated underwriting, that's incredibly accurate and fair and comprehensive. So it will be interesting to see the future.